What's up, everybody? Shauna D Man here. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are doing great. Hope you guys are having yourselves a great week. We are back with another episode of the Auburn podcast for the 2025 year here for the channel, and we got some things to jump into. First thing we're going to jump into is Auburn basketball. They will be taking on the Michigan Wolverines Friday night in Atlanta for the Sweet 16. It's a chance to advance to Sunday to play in the Elite Eight, potentially. Depending on how that goes, if Auburn does advance, they could be playing either Michigan State or Ole Miss. I think Michigan State and Ole Miss play first on Friday, or do they play on Thursday? I feel like they play on Friday, but so, yeah, you know what? Yeah. I think they play on Friday, so we'll know well in advance on who Auburn will potentially play if they can get past Michigan Friday night. Should be very much a very highly contested game. I still listen. I think Auburn opened that as a 9.5 point favorite, just not long after Auburn won against Creighton. I believe now it's down to 7.5. The spread is so still like an Auburn in this situation. When it comes to the NCAA tournament, guard play is the most important. And right now, what we saw from the Auburn Tigers against Creighton, mainly in the second half, when they allow Creighton to score for about 6 minutes, I think, at a certain point in the second half. If that Auburn team shows up with a lockdown defense like they've been so accustomed to doing throughout the season, and if the offense continues to go, then Michigan's in trouble. Because I think this is potentially a bad matchup for Michigan. Now, obviously, they do have their two bigs that they'll both be on the floor, but if Auburn can take advantage, use their athleticism, their quickness, potentially get at least one of those bigs in foul trouble, or if get both in foul trouble, it just makes things a lot easier. I think you're going to probably see another game where the guards are going to be very much important. Dylan, Chaney, and Janai are going to be more important in getting the rebound aspect of things, but I think they will get their points, Janai and Chaney, but I do think this is going to be another game where Chad, Tahad, Denver, Miles need to probably be the main scorers of this team, because let's be clear, Michigan should have lost to Texas A&M, but they just kept clawing, they kept fighting back, and then ultimately they were down 12 at a certain point, not long left in the game. They won by I think 10 against Texas A&M, a complete not blowout, but a complete collapse by the Aggies. I feel very good about Auburn in this matchup. I think Dylan Cardwell, it sounds like they had a come to Jesus type of meeting, and it just sounds like Dylan Cardwell called people out, which they should, because after the Alabama State game, Auburn didn't look like they were interested in playing that game. Not everybody, but certain players, obviously like Janai Broome, Chad, who didn't really put much effort and things like that into it. They just didn't seem like they were interested in playing. Dylan could be the catalyst that sparks Auburn to the Final Four or even to the national title game by calling out these guys, telling them they need to play better. He wants to keep playing, because once the season's over, that's it for Dylan. Albeit for a lot of guys as well, that's it. You want to play as much as you can heading down the stretch. Okay. You got 4 games left: the Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Four, national title. 4 games left. You got to make these games count. And Auburn probably could have maybe felt a little bit of pressure, or not necessarily pressure, or played a little bit tight, because obviously you're the number 1 overall seed. There was this whole stupid narrative of Auburn losing their last 3 or 4 heading after they clinched the SEC. Janai Broome, the National Player of the Year situation. I think he's been named a finalist yesterday. It's more than likely. I think voting finished up just the other week, so it's more than likely it's going to go to Cooper Flag. I will I would love for it to go to Johni Broome because Johni Broome played in a much tougher conference and the competition was a much higher level compared to what Duke faced. And if anybody who watches basketball and everything, you have to take that into account with the level of competition. The ACC had 4 teams got 4 teams into the tournament. And guess what? Louisville lost in the first weekend. North Carolina lost against Ole Miss. I'm trying to think who the other. Duke is still in. Who was the other ACC team? I can't remember who the other ACC team was. They got 4 in. See, I got to look now because I can't think of who it was for some reason. Who was it? Clemson, and they lost in the first. So it's 3. So 3 of your 4 ACC teams lost basically in the first weekend of the tournament. Meanwhile, the SEC got 4 teams in, and guess what? 7 teams are going to the Sweet 16. Really, it should be 8 if Texas A&M would have handled business against Michigan. So that just tells you the level of competition between these two conferences. It's not comparable. Johni Broome, although he had his struggles against Alabama State, Alabama State, Creighton, maybe Texas A&M. Even though he had his struggles, he still performed at a high level compared to what Cooper Flag has. Well, I'm not doubting or saying Cooper Flag is a bad player, but again, the competition that these two face is just not. It's not comparable. It's not comparable. But more likely, it's going to go to Cooper Flag. It just is what it is. So, but maybe now with the whole voting thing done, maybe Johni Broome was pressuring himself to play at a high level, like a national player of the year level. Maybe now that the voting's done, that will just, refocus him. Because I think he put out a tweet talking about he expect to see better play from me here on out. So I don't know what that'll look like on Friday against Michigan, especially with those 2 bigs. I think they're both like 6'11", 7-footers. So it's going to be interesting on how Johni Broome gets his buckets. Again, the athleticism and the quickness of Auburn can really bother these 2 guys, because my understanding of them is like they're big, but they're very slow. They're cumbersome. So being quick and fast could be the most advantage thing for Auburn, especially for guys like Denver Jones, Chad Baker, these guys who are going to try to drive to the hole and draw a foul, get a bucket, and one kind of thing. So I'm very excited for this game. I do think Auburn's going to win the game. I don't really care about the score as long as they win the game. I think the Auburn crowd is going to be very loud. I think it's going to be a lot of people there. So I'm very excited for the game for sure. And then on to football wise, Auburn football kicked off its spring practice. So A-Day's different. They're not doing a regular A-Day kind of situation this year. It's not going to be televised. So it's just going to be like an hour-long spring practice for people. So it's and a lot of this isn't something new. This is something that's probably has been coming for quite some time. Even Hugh Freeze has been outspoken about it, potentially doing what the NFL does, doing like OTAs, that kind of thing. I mean, it is what it is. Other people have either canceled their spring games or they're not televising their spring games. And so the original plan was obviously I was going to watch it, at home, But then when I heard it was going to be televised, I decided, well, maybe I'll just go. And now it's just going to be an hour-long spring practice kind of thing, and then like a fan day after. I don't know. I may still go, just depending on how things go for me. But it is going to be very interesting for sure. He had a press conference yesterday, Hugh Freeze mentioned. And one of the things he talked about is like there are some guys who are banged up who are going to miss summer spring. I think he mentioned Connor Liu, Kendrick Falk, Demarcus Riddick. Either some of them are going to miss spring or they'll just be very limited in spring. And so a lot of them had to have like some little minor shoulder procedures to, clear some things up. And so it is what it is. It sounds like the quarterback position, both guys, Jackson Arnold and Deuce Knight, are seemingly doing relatively well, transitioning very, very well. A guy I know mentioned that, for the first 3 days or so, the offense has looked smooth. Obviously, they're doing it without pads, that kind of thing, but it looked kind of smooth. It sounds like the wide receivers are as advertised. Sounds like Cam and Malcolm have gotten bigger and stronger. Eric Singleton is as advertised as well. And then Perry's coming along, Horatio Fields and Sam Turner also coming along. And so, the amount of work that these players are going to put in during this time it's going to be very crucial. Like right now, you just got two quarterbacks. I mean, three if you want to count Tanner Bailey, but really two guys, Jackson Arnold and Deuce Knight, throwing to the receivers, running the offense. So I wonder how Hugh Freeze is going to, because he mentioned he's going to have to take a look at that and maybe work with that because they're the only two guys throwing right now. Again, I don't know about Tanner Bailey. He didn't really say much about him, but primarily Deuce and Jackson are putting in the work. So that is a very positive thing. Seems like it's probably going to be more of a running back by committee this upcoming season compared to having, that true bell cow of a running back, which is I'm fine with. It doesn't really bother me as much. Because it sounds like Alvin Henderson is coming along nicely. You got I think was it Darrell Robinson from UConn. And you also have Alston and Cobb. So it's a very loaded running back room. And then you also picked up I forgot his name, the running back who reclassified and just recently joined Auburn's roster or Auburn's recruiting class. So I don't know when their first. Let me see. I know. I was trying to think of when Auburn's first scrimmage is going to be. I want to say it's going to be this weekend, but I could be wrong. Let's go here. Oh, wait, I did the wrong thing. I did. Let's see. All right, let me look here. Okay, never mind. I was hoping to see, well, maybe. Okay. I was hoping to try to find where I could find when like spring like the first scrimmage is going to be. So because I believe it's like April 12th. Yeah, I think April 12th is when the typically the spring game is supposed to be, but since we're not doing that this year, I would assume it should be coming up. I think it'll either be this weekend or next weekend. It actually might be this weekend. So I don't know. I don't know. So, but we'll get some information in regards to that for sure. Coming out of that whenever it is, and then just more information as we go along. So But yeah, that's pretty much it. I look forward to more football related spring content. And then obviously we got Auburn playing on Friday night. I should have a video out probably that Saturday morning, just going over that game. Depending on whether Auburn wins or loses, I'll still have a video out. But that's pretty much it, you guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out. Be sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. Y'all have a good one.